Much. All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope all is well. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys were able to get out a little bit today and enjoy this weather, which feels like summer compared to the winter that we have had. But it's a nice breakup to everything that's been going on weather-wise. So hope you were able to enjoy it. My name is Marissa Mack. I am the chair of the Economic Development and Culture Committee here at Community Board 11. So we are going to start this meeting today at 6:34. Let's just observe a few ground rules before we get started. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participant icon, the participants panel should appear, and you should find the raise hand function there. If you are still having technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Board members, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information, email addresses that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Please keep your questions and comments distinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question, comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. Okay, so Angel, if we can do the roll call. I know that Nye she will not be in attendance this evening. It is her birthday. Happy birthday, Nye. And so if we could move forward, calling this meeting to order at 6:36 p.m.
Sure thing. Members, when I call your name, please answer present. Adam Briha.
Present.
Eva Chan.
Present.
James Horton.
Present.
Marissa Mack.
Present.
Giselle Malave.
Present.
Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Robert Perez. Vinnie Torres. Jenny Tromsky.
Present.
You have quorum.
Thank you so much. So I would like to move to adopt the agenda. If there are any objections, please raise your hand. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda that was set forth. Okay, seeing no hands, the agenda is adopted. And we had two meeting minutes to review. So minutes from last month and then this month. Are there any objections to the minutes set forth? Okay, seeing no hands, the minutes for both December and January are adopted. Angel, did you want to make this announcement or you? The next meeting is for March 10th. Okay, Angel.
Sorry, Marissa, my controls were not cooperating with me.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm like following it around all over the screen. It wouldn't let me click it. Yeah, that was the only announcement I had. Sorry.
Okay. All right, great. Well, that's fine. Yeah, that's all. So we can move on. Okay, so the only information that I have to share, I did attend the hearing earlier this week on the open restaurant program. There was a lot of feedback from council members throughout the city from all the different boroughs on, what that's going to look like in regards to having restaurants set up outside. There were a lot of people that were mainly in support of this. I think the question and the comments were mostly around how this is going to set up so that it is beneficial for the community, right? In terms of safety, in terms of security, in terms of rodents, in terms of cleanup. Those were the main topics that were presented. Obviously, also in terms of noise, that was something else that was mentioned. So it seemed like, for the majority of the people that did present and testify, that it was more so a matter of who's going to take this on. Should it be DOT that is in fact overseeing most of this, or should it be another agency? And then also, how is this impacting the community? So rather than just rolling this out, again, giving it more thought. What are the layers to this, and how is it impacting the people that actually live in these neighborhoods as well? It was a lengthy meeting. Unfortunately, I did sign up to testify, but I had to get back to work and I could not stay on. But I think, again, I think that it was great to hear the different sides, because this is what people were really saying no to. I don't feel that people were like, we don't want this. It's just that this needs to be thought out. And there are a lot of areas that were not really considered, I think, when this was really put forth. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And there are a few action items I think that we can take as a committee. We can discuss that later, just to see how we can further support our small businesses from this discussion. But I will defer that to our conversation later on in the agenda. So I would like to pass the baton over to Carrie King at Uptown Grand Central to talk about some of the initiatives that are going on within the organization and throughout our community. So Carrie, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can you guys see me? I'm not, okay, I think my screen, okay. Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I would say in terms of the small businesses, the place that we're in currently, at least for the past month, has been a place where, and if you hear noise in the background, it's going to end very shortly. Sorry about that. The past month has been really scary in terms of violence, and I know people, not just small businesses, feel that across the city. And especially it's hit really hard in East Harlem and Harlem with the shooting at the Burger King, and then the police officers. And then there's just been other things. There was a shot fired at an MTA bus on Lexington at 125th, 124th, just last weekend. And there's just been like other incidents that are not even making the news that we're hearing about that are scary. There's been fake $100 bills floating around. And so in any event, the most recent merchant meeting that Buy Local East Harlem puts together, and then we support, we had the community affairs officers from the 2-3 and the 2-5, and Marissa was able to listen in too. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that all of the small businesses are connected to their NCOs, and that they're understanding the feedback loop, because there's lots of different kinds of officers within NYPD. There's the community affairs officers, there's the NCOs, there's the safety people. So just trying to make sure that they understand who they can speak to, and that we develop a strong network, especially since the community affairs officers of the 2-5 are new, and so they're getting to know people too. So hopefully we can make some progress on that. I'm going to be serving on the shoplifting task force that Alvin Bragg is putting together, and that's meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I'll keep you posted on what recommendations come out of that. But hopefully we can start to, wrap our heads around some of this and try to address some of the issues. Also, just in terms of COVID recovery, as you probably heard today, the mask mandate indoors has been lifted. So I know businesses are excited about that. Some businesses are also not excited about that. A lot of the fitness businesses know that their customers are going to be nervous about virus spread. restaurants are more happy about it, but of course it's not across the board, and different people feel different ways. But so we just need to continue to support them in all the different aspects of that. The New York State Restaurant Resiliency Fund, which is something that this committee supported, and Giselle, who's on the call, is one of the champions of it, was passed to the state in the last budget. That has run out of money, so there's no more money in it, and so we'll be speaking to our assembly member about trying to see if any more money can be put into the budget. I think about between 5 and 10 small businesses in East Harlem did it, and then it ran out of money really fast. So there's that in terms of advocacy. And last thing on advocacy is that tomorrow is the last day to take the New York City Speaks survey, nyscspeaks.org. And it's a survey about all different kinds of things: economic development, culture, and also neighborhood safety, just it runs the gamut, education. And the results of the survey are gonna go to Eric Adams, and he's gonna use that in setting some budget priorities for this year. So if you haven't done it yet, I'll put it in the chat, and it would be great if you could do it. It's a kind of long survey, so it will take you at least 20 minutes to do, but it's very thoughtful, and you can kind of see where the administration's priorities may be based on the multiple choice. And then the last two things I wanted to mention are just things to promote the restaurants and the businesses. It's New York City Restaurant Week until Sunday, and then Harlem Restaurant Week is going to start in March. So we have plenty of restaurant opportunities. And then we're also doing hot chocolate bike rides. So for the next 2 Saturdays, we've got a bike crew. This is intersectionality with health and wellness from El Barrio Bikes out of the health department. We have ride leaders who are leading rides to different small businesses across the neighborhood who serve hot chocolate. So all of that's on our website and Instagram. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for presenting. I just had 2 questions actually to follow up from last month as well in regards to the number of people that are cleaning, and if that initiative has been extended, or if there is any push that's needed to ensure that extends.
Thank you. Yes, I wasn't sure whether or not to mention it. We don't know. We're continuing to do advocacy for it to be continued. Thus far, we think through March, and so we're trying to do some more research about through the different agencies about whether or not we can continue. We're back up to our normal. We're back up to our city cleanup core level, so we have about 30 to 40 people per week out there, which is great. And so I'll definitely keep you updated, because some of them last week, they were scared. They were all huddling in the trailer after so that's another thing too on 125th is in a lot of neighborhoods, you can just hire cleaning staff, but on East 125th, there's like a safety element to it too, that we definitely feel. And so we want to keep them all protected and well.
Perfect, thank you. And actually just one more on that too, is there any discussion regarding a bid, the secret word bid?
Well, there's
been floating for years.
There's been floating for years. The Department of Small Business Services has given us the go ahead to begin to explore a bid on 125th Street. So just so you know, it takes forever. So it's nothing that happens overnight. It's at least a 3-year process. And what we have to assemble a steering committee that is then there's very specific rules. All of this is very codified. It has to be a certain number of people on the corridor who actually have property on the corridor, by block and lot, city map and everything. And then those people begin to make some suggestions once the planning phase goes through, and that kind of determines the size and the shape of where it might be. And then there's outreach to everybody on the corridor. And then after that, it actually goes through the Department of City Planning, and then through, then it has to go through City Council. It's actually, it's almost like a ULURP, but not the same kind of ULURP. So it'll take a long time, but the SBS has given us the go ahead to begin to explore the concept.
And I'm just mentioning that because that has been something that's been on I feel like the agenda for forever. So the
Yeah.
fact, just the fact that it is in discussions and is moving forward, I know that it's going to take time and it's slow because there's so many parts. But just knowing that the motion is starting is very encouraging. So that's good to know, and that you are in that process. So very good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Are there any questions quickly before we move to union settlement? Okay. All right, well, thank you, Carrie. We'll also be looking for the update from the task force. That is very important for a number of reasons for our community, for safety, and also, for some of the crimes that we're having, and just trying to figure out like what's the best way to deal with this. So thank you for serving and representing our community.
And all suggestions are welcome. If y'all have suggestions, message me. I will take them with me.
Will do. Okay, so moving on to union settlement, Pablo and Jackie. Nice
Yes,
to see
hi.
you.
Is
Hi.
Jackie with us?
I don't see her, but she has been here the past couple of meetings, so nice to see your face now too. So she'll join, but if not, we would love to hear from you as well.
Thank you, Marisa. I was on vacation, actually a long vacation, and I'm happy to be back. And I'm noticing a lot of changes. And I wanted to mention that the major issue I've been talking to the small business owners around is the depletion of the Restaurant Resilience Fund. It was stopped by mid-January. There is no more money. And the big question is if it's going to be refunded. It's unclear. Some voices says yes, others says no. We're trying to see if we can get some clarification on that on a town hall shortly, if we can put it together. Trying to put together a representative of the state, the Department of Agriculture, the food bank, and of course the local ones, Community Board 11, Diana, Eddie Gibbs, and maybe if he wants to show up, Espaillat, Congressman Espaillat. We're trying to figure out if he's going to be refunded. We would love to propose some changes to the program because we don't feel it was effective in the district, and only according to our calculations, only 6 of the 10 accepted local merchants really had the time to start selling under the program through food providers. And of those 6, only 3 made a material amount of money to cover all their expenses. The other 6 barely returned the investment. Was not impactful. So we're trying to put together some ideas to propose if it's going to be refunded. We met this week. We had a meeting of the restaurants only, and to collect experiences and concern about the program that just depleted and the immediate future, and also to find out how they are doing, and they're not doing well. The market is very slow within the weather. Extremely cold. January normally is a slow month, and adding the social restrictions, which happily I can see now that they were partially lifted, and I'm gonna go into that in a moment. But it's a lot of concerns around. Every customers, any restaurant, any retailer I visited since I arrived back, it's about the same thing. They're really concerned about the immediate future. So we are working on that. Also wanted to mention the mask policy is kind of confusing. Everybody has their own version of what it is, including myself. And I'm trying to get some clarification on that. If you guys can guide me on who can spell that in proper English, I would appreciate that. Because it's a lot of confusion as to what
Pablo, you just muted.
That
your-
was
oh,
an incoming.
Mhm.
That she could either has people non-vaccinated without a mask and vaccinated with a mask at the same time. I told her, I think I read that is either or. You cannot mix. So you have to make a policy, post it on the door, and establish how do you want to proceed. So allow your customers to know what to expect inside. But again, saying that, I was saying, is that correct? That's probably what I read, but I would like to know more. So we're gonna be looking for some further guidance on that. Questions so far?
No questions in regards to that. I have a question, but I'm not sure if you're gonna bring it up. So is there anything else that you wanted to mention or?
Just quickly, we are also kind of desperate with our sanitation effort. Our little contribution to sanitation is not working. The amount of trash generated on the streets is incredibly high, including leftovers from the meal programs. Thanks God, on that respect, thank God is stopped, because we're not gonna see that much trash on the street. I'm concerned. I think we should sit down at different levels or different layers of the city, where that responsibility falls, and try to find a solution, because it's consuming us. It's all trash all over the place.
Throughout the city, yeah, it's an issue that's been brought up throughout the city. Many council members have made that statement.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not alone in that, but I do think, to your point, that there's more that could be done, because even that contributes to our rat and rodent problem that a lot of people were mentioning regarding the outdoor dining. So it's not just that, it's overall efforts throughout the city. So absolutely something.
By the way, on the rats, I also wanted to mention, we started in June a pilot to abate the rats on 116th Street between 3rd Avenue and Pleasant Avenue. And we were making monthly surveys on the area, and it was working very good. It stopped momentarily because of the snow and all the traps were covered. But there is a material reduction of rats on East 116th Street. It seems that the pilot works, and I'm also looking to share it with other official entities to see if they want to try this pilot on a larger scale. The only problem is that the rats that escaped from 116, they went to 115 and 117. And those areas are like full of rats. So the pilot works, but it needs to be applied on a larger scale. And we will be, from Union Settlement, we're gonna be trying to do that, all right? I think the criminal spike was already addressed. Businesses are considering, I don't know if this is possible, I don't know which layers of the city it touches. They would like to have cameras, high quality cameras with night vision on the street, to serve as a deterrent of the thugs that don't want to be on TV, but also as to facilitate the work or the job of the police at identifying any perpetrator. That's another thing we are working with them at this moment. In terms of events, we haven't done any event for all the things that we've been talking about. We may start in May, but at this moment, district marketing and placemaking is halted. I wanted to give kudos to Jackie. She started a campaign on the American Disability Act through a series of videos that are available on her YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel too. It's a co-produced initiative, but she's the one, I just put the money, who came out with it. And very good, I like it very much, because kind of pushes for compliance on that item that is very low compliance in East Harlem. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort. And I would love that she would have been here to present it, because that's basically her baby. That's it. That's me.
Well, thank you, Pablo. Thank you. And I'm sure she'll be back next month to speak more about that. But thank you for sharing. Definitely, we should circle back regarding the sanitation situation for the community overall. That is something that's hindering not only businesses, but then also residents. And then also too, something that I do feel strongly about, and I think we spoke about this briefly last month, touched on it at public safety regarding safety measures for businesses and what that looks like, and just having something that's a little bit more easy to help and to navigate for businesses in terms of safety in the area. So
as an example, I think we all had an opportunity to see this deplorable event that happened at 116 and First Avenue of the person who was beaten down on the corner of the street.
right.
I don't know what type of camera was used. I don't know if it was a cell phone or something, but the quality is horrible. It's very hard to identify these guys from that quality of camera. If we had better cameras on the area, that would be very easy for the police to track them down and put them in jail.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. Those are two topics to address and to discuss. Giselle, I see you just 1 minute. I just have one other question regarding the loan program. Are you still working on that? So I know that there was a loan program you were looking to get some feedback for restaurants that may not have been able to get grants or funding previously, but is that still in the works, or how is that going?
It is cooking. We are coming up with what seems to be a very good formula to include from the very, very small micro businesses to the average small business in the area. But it requires a lot of touching, and it's still not ready, but it is cooking. I want to tell you that we've been working on that.
Okay. All right. Okay. But no, all of these funds are drying out. So, you know, I guess the sooner that we can try to work together to figure that out, the better. Giselle?
I agree with you.
I have good evening, everyone. I'm glad that we're talking about safety, not only like physically in our businesses, but also on the internet. Recently, I believe, well, I know my page got hacked, but I've been seeing a lot of pages in East Harlem getting hacked. And so maybe there is something informational that we can let our businesses know, so that to protect them, because a business page, it's not like a personal page. You know, that's where you get a lot of the customers. They see what's happening at your place. They see, you know, so that's how you get a lot of traffic too. And I think it's a good time now to just, you know, reach out and maybe just pass out like a flyer or a memo, or just letting people know, like, you know, this is real, this is happening, and we have to be careful. So these are the signs to look for if you get, you know, something on your page or something in your mailbox or something in your, you know, direct messages. So just to look out for it, because it's happening a lot.
I was hacked, you know that. The East Harlem Working Together Instagram page was hacked.
Yes, and Pablo también, because my page was hacked, and then I see that like a couple of customers, and then now yesterday your page was hacked. So I'm like, this is obviously something that's gonna keep happening, especially in our neighborhood, because we all have the same followers. So maybe we just want to bring it up. I don't know, maybe like in any way, an email, a memo, a chat.
Thank you, Giselle. That's a great idea. And another area that helps in regards to customers and your revenue overall, right? So if you don't have that, then it's harmful. But thank you for that. It's a great idea. Are there any other hands at this time? Okay. All right, Pablo, thank you for presenting, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, Angel, moving along with the agenda. So next we have Eva Chan from our committee, and Alexis McSweeney from Youth Construct, and you guys have the floor.
Hi, can you give ability to share screen to Alexis? And hi, everyone.
Hi, sorry, Angel, are you able to?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
So we are presenting about Youth Construct today. I'm more like a helper. Alexis is the founder of Bottom Line Construction. She's a local Harlem-based MWBE developer, and on the side, just seeing how COVID has devastated our communities and really led to high youth unemployment rate. She has founded a new youth vocational training program to train young people on real estate or construction management. Essentially is construction back office work. So the program, we worked on it for a year, and the program is basically kicked off early this year. And our goal is to continue to raise money and continue to expand it. Hopefully, we can bring a lot more Harlem-based students to train them up so they can benefit from future infrastructure projects to come in Harlem.
Thank you.
Alexis, are you able to share screen?
Sure.
I'll just pass it on to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. As Eva said, I am Alexis McSween, and let me just go to the beginning. Sorry. There we go. I own Bottom Line Construction and Development, which is a 100% female MWBE owned company right here in Harlem. I'm very passionate about Harlem, so we created Youth Construct, and it is officially a non-for-profit out of Harlem as well. So a little bit about Bottom Line is we've been in business 11 years and 3 months. We're located on 148th Street. We have several projects going on in Harlem right now. We're a general contractor. We're a general contractor, and we participate on projects throughout Harlem, such as La Maqueta on 116 and Park Avenue, Victoria Theater on 125th Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Lenox. We are also working on right now the New York Public Library on 125th and 3rd Avenue as a tier 1 sub, which means that we have trades underneath us. So we're really, I think the differential would be we're extremely passionate about Harlem. I'm from Harlem. I started out of Harlem Hospital as an EMT at 18 years old, went on to become a cardiothoracic nurse and headed into real estate development and construction. So I'm pretty committed to our community. And that's why this program is so important, because we have young people that are growing up in our community, watching buildings going up everywhere, and they have nothing at all to do with it, barely the brick and mortar. So we created this program as a sort of an introduction to the ASED space, which is architecture, construction, engineering, and development. And so there's kids that sometimes they don't even know that there's other things that exist besides the brick and mortar of it all. So this is our project on 116th and Park Avenue, La Maqueta. And this was with New York City EDC. So we do a lot of projects with EDC. We work with the New York City School Construction Authority. We work with the Port Authority, New York, New Jersey. We are certified with Columbia as well. We bid for Columbia. We haven't started working with them yet. We are also We've graduated the tier 1 subcontractor small business mentor program with the MTA, which we're also passionate about. It's very similar to the school construction authorities mentorship program. So we graduated. So now we're looking to qualify for tier 2 status. So this is part of the Victoria Theater. I know you guys are familiar with it. 200 units on the south side, Marriott Hotel. 200 units on the north side, which 100 of those units are affordable housing. This is a development project, our last development project on 148th Street between Frederick Douglass and Bradhurst Avenue. This was our largest project to date, the most difficult. It was initially an HPD-owned vacant lot. Previously, there was a tenement building there. I don't know if some of you remember. They tore it down due to structural issues. And this project I was trying to do is also a supportive affordable. And it was such a difficult site that HPD relinquished and said, you know, maybe we just have to let you go ahead and build it without an affordable component. So what we did was pretty much the entire team were MWBEs, including the project management and back office staff. So I told you why we created Youth Construct. It's because our kids are not getting access. And that's why we have access alternatives and opportunities. Because if you don't get access to the industry, then you're not going to get those opportunities. And so we created this program at the beginning of the pandemic. We created the program. We started out about 1.5 years ago with interns that we had existing interns. And we asked, you know, how would you feel about, you know, the administrative side of construction, engineering, architecture, and development? You know, there's so many opportunities out there for that sort of high level back office work. And our kids are not getting access. And come to find out, a lot of those high school kids in our community did not know about those professions. They didn't know about project management. They didn't know about office engineering, construction office manager. There's a huge difference between the typical office manager versus a construction office manager. So like I said, we started out between 2019, 2020, pandemic time. We were born out of an existing internship program that we already had with just a few students. And our whole focus, since we were doing this alone, we just would take them to our construction sites and our office and teach them all about what they could be doing to support staff, to support not just us, but just industry firms in their work besides laborer. Because typically in our underserved communities, we're sort of pigeonholed into being a laborer. And I'm not saying that laborers are not valued. It's just that I just want the young people to know that there's so much more. So we established a board that is absolutely awesome. I hope you're not seeing me move this other thing around. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, good. Okay, I'm like moving the face. We actually won a grant through I Fund Women. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're pretty cool considering this was a new youth program. So we won like $10,000. That was huge. So we took that, we did the crowdfunding. We raised actually more than 12,000. I'm sorry, that's not updated. Probably to date, we've raised through crowdfunding about $15,000. I apologize, that's not updated. So that was our second cohort. And the young lady in the middle, believe it or not, we still have her. She's graduated and went on to college, and she works with our youth now. So that's kind of nice. And then we have the class that's happening right now of 2022. These are some statistics, and you guys sound pretty knowledgeable. So I'm sure that you're aware that the 16 to 24-year-old age range around the height of the COVID had really no employment. They weren't able to go back to employment. was extremely difficult because a lot of their families were not working as well. So their parents, the older people in the apartment or the household were not bringing in income, and it was extremely difficult. So we thought, you know, we actually only had one job, that was the Victoria, because of the affordable housing component. So we thought that it would be really nice to bring on interns. So we partnered with Strive, which you'll see, and we took in like 7 to 10 kids, not kids, they were young, like 17, 18, but we took them in, and we had them working on that Victoria Theater. And that was extremely important to us because they were like in amazement. I know it might just seem like a building to us, but for them, they were just like, I'm like, come on, let's look at the balcony. You know, this is quality control. This is quality assurance. This is how you're going to help my project manager. And they actually participated with all those things. So here's the slide. This is what we're introducing them to. They're being presented to by not only people on my team, but industry professionals. So right now, who's presenting to them right now today is Turner Construction, who donated space for us, but then we had to go virtual until next month, would be AECOM. AECOM is also nationally known. They're on 43rd Street and 3rd. You're probably saying, why not Harlem? I tried, we tried, the board tried, we could not find space in time for the class to kick off. So that's the space we got. AECOM also is donating meals for the kids. A lot of these kids are hunger challenged. So yes, even though we're only meeting for 2 to 3 hours, that meal is going to make a big difference. So they're getting what are they getting from this program? They're getting their OSHA 30 and their SST. You can't walk on a site, even if you're not brick and mortar, to work without an SST. And SSTs, OSHA, are transferable skill, a transferable license certificate. You'll be able to use that in facilities management. You'll be able to use that in universities. It's just really a great thing to have. They'll be getting their notary when they turn 18. So these are some of the things that we feel. These skills, by the way, and my hashtag is grit and grace. So I'm all about transferable skills. So the important thing I want you guys to understand is these skills can be utilized almost anywhere. So they're doing 6 months of sort of training, right, with us. Then they're doing 3 months of internships, paid internships, and they're getting a stipend. So they're getting a stipend during that 6 months, and they're getting paid for 3 months to work for an industry partner. What do I need from you guys? Industry partner meaning a contractor, developers. There's buildings going up all over the place. You guys have access to these people. Please tell them about us. Have them support us. Engineers, architects. I mean, the list goes on. They're all wanting to do work here in Harlem, and we need to be a part of it. So that's part of my ask. Okay. So again, I know I said it already, but this is not an in-depth training program of each and every industry, but it is giving them sort of an introduction to the industry and all the possibilities. Right now, yesterday's class was the whole architectural drawings. So that class we've been extended for like 2 or 3 more classes because it actually speaks to each industry. I talked to you already about transferable skills and what they really need. We talk a lot about showing up, being present, showing their faces on camera, and just learning how to communicate and just in this new space of technology, sometimes all you have is this screen. And so just letting them know that even if it's not going to be a physical meeting, you still have to show up. You still have to have enough light behind you. You still have to know your subject matter. So that's kind of what we've been going through with the kids. And this is like the 6th class, official class. So like I said, public-private partnerships. Right now, Turner has been presenting. This has been huge because you have people presenting that look like us. And I think that's a big deal. People in high places that look like us that are presenting and that are happy to be there. So they're already identifying kids. Oh, I like her. I like him. Let us know where they're, and they're also committed to taking our kids for the summer. So I don't quite know how many they're taking, but I'm extremely excited that they feel passionate enough that they are taking on these kids. So out of like the 20 classes that we have, they have already taken up the bulk of those classes. So I'm in awe. I'm just like, oh, you want to teach that one too? Okay. So we're just trying to keep up. So we talked about industry instructors, networking events. When we get to see each other in person, we will be doing site visits. Again, you guys, tell the developers, they need to let our kids come to their sites. They don't always want to look at Alexis's sites, right? So they need to be able to go to the other sites and also the back office piece. So some sites only have a trailer. We'd want to go to that. Some sites, they're in the ground. We still want to go to that. So that is something that we would need. And monetary donation. So they want to come build in Harlem, tell them to donate. We'll take it. So I think you guys already know what this type of program is aiming to do. The career mobility, the unique thing about this program, keep in mind, so I have 3 degrees and one of them is a graduate degree from NYU for real estate development, right? But I didn't graduate high school. So a lot of these kids, when they finish high school, they may not be going straight to higher education, just like me. But the point is, these types of trades that we're introducing them to, these skills and these professions, some of them, you don't need a high school, a college degree immediately. Some of them are giving you, like Turner, will give you an opportunity to, and they have tuition reimbursement so that you can grow. So you might start out as sort of a clerk, a construction clerk, but then you might go on and continue your education on a part-time perspective. So some of these kids were ready to go away to college, and because of COVID, their whole financial situation changed, and they have to maybe participate more in that's why we have the stipend, because some kids were like, we really want to go, but I have a job. So we're trying to increase that stipend. But this just gives you an idea of, we already know we have disconnected youth. So it's like everybody always knows all the problems. So we're trying to be a solution, and we're just one piece. These are some of the partners, sponsors. So of course, us, Community Preservation Corp. I hope you all are familiar with them. They're really awesome. They're like a very large CDFI. AECOM I mentioned, Turner I mentioned, West Harlem Development Corp. We received our first real grant from West Harlem Development Corp. That was not a sort of a crowdfunding situation. That was, we pitched to them, we provided documentation, and they actually gave us a grant. So super, super happy, and a plug for them. Preceda Funding, National Association of Minority Contractors, I'm on their board. They're committed. Locksmith Group, a bonding company. Brissa, a very large African-American female, 100% owned developer of affordable housing. So they're awesome. And then of course, these are referral partners. I already mentioned Strive. We ACE Mentor, if you're familiar with them, most of their kids go straight to college and they go with scholarships. So we're not quite at that level, but we're trying. And so I think I made it clear. This is our ask, right? So any letters of support from the board, I've already asked you if you could speak to any developers that you may know, and local youth organizations for partnership. So our kids are, and I'm so sorry if I didn't tell you the age, but they are 11th and 12th graders. And that's 11th and 12th for now. I'm hoping that that grows, but that was all we as a company had the capacity to sort of fund, because we were going in, we were doing this funding or not. So we've been supporting this program for the past year and a half. This is really near and dear to my heart. We took the kids that the interns that finished last year, we took them to the first play that opened in New York since COVID. And that group to the right consists of students, donors, and bottom line volunteers, as well as the board. Above that would be Elijah. he actually did a project. We had them do a whole project as if they were general contractors. And then they did a presentation at the end. So it was really great. And also here in the middle, you have Elijah and Abigail, and you have a Columbia business student, which was actually given to us to help us develop the program. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alexis. You did a great job. I'm such a fan of Bottom Line and Youth Construct and what you guys are doing within the community. We've met a couple of times, and obviously through Eva, who's been advocating for you as well, through our board and with our different developers that come to see us. So one thing that I do want to obviously let you know is that we are actually starting, and Jenny Chomsky, who's on this call, is starting to help us develop a pipeline of developers and different organizations that come to present here. So that's something that will be a resource to our board, and we will have, information that's shared out from some of our presentations that you can then tap into and link with them directly as they come and present with us, which I think is great. The second thing I would say is that, obviously we will go on a letter of support for your great work, and see how we can support you in continuing your initiative. One thing I will say, and I'm sure you have, but have you guys connected with our Youth and Education Committee directly to see if, because my idea and what I would see is that you would connect directly with schools. And then have this as like a program where, kids have the opportunity to tap into this, whether it be for internships, class credit, further jobs. Everyone does not go to college, and there are all these different pathways to do that, right? So I could see that as like a direct partnership where, you work with, any one of the schools within our community, overall Harlem community, and have this as a direct pathway. To this program. And that's another way for exposure. That's another way for funding, and that's another way to get like the word out about what you do even further. So not sure if that's been considered yet, but I absolutely think that that's something that you guys could do and continue to do. And then obviously, as things come, Angel has been great about sharing, Eva's been great about sharing information about, the programs that are coming up, when they're opening up, who they're for, and how to connect with our community. So, those are some of the things that I think of that come top of mind. Excuse me, regarding how you can be more impactful and engaged with the community. You let me know what you think, but where you guys have been with that.
Yeah, maybe I can answer the question about the local community. We are presenting to the Youth and Education Committee next week. And so far in our outreach effort to recruit students, I've used quite a lot of my connection within East Harlem to connect to local schools. I think more work needs to be done, however, because despite my connection to schools, we still don't really have students from Harlem right now. But the demand for this program is really high. So basically, once we launched the program, we were just flooded with students. So what I would love to see is if we can get some funding and we can, set aside one class that are for Harlem.
Eva?
Sorry, yep.
I'm sorry, we have two. We have two.
Jump in. Yeah. Please just jump in. Yeah.
We have two from Harlem. We start out with 21. We're at like 16, 17 right now.
Okay, so that's good to know. I feel like there are, we have a number of developers and happy to connect you, for further conversations. We actually just had last week National Back Theater presents, and it would be great if you guys are, able to work with them in some capacity, and they are very open to connecting with people from this community and people that want to do more. So there are a number of further opportunities and ways that we can connect and discuss, different partnerships, but the work that you're doing is great. Obviously for people that are from this community, if they're building here too, that's part of the reason that it's good, because you come back and you can see the development, you can see what you've done, that gives you a greater purpose and gives you more to kind of go off of in terms of growing and developing. So
Yeah, it's a great investment.
Sorry.
It's a great investment into the community, because every dollar that you invest in Youth Construct, a good part of it is paid out as stipend to the students, and then more importantly, the real estate sector will be giving them paid internships. So a lot of money is plowing directly back into the local community.
Yeah, no, it's a 360 good on all ends. So yeah, let's see how we can continue this. I'm gonna recognize a few hands that we have here. So first, I would like to call on Xavier, our chair. Xavier, you have the floor.
Hey, how is everyone? I hope you're doing well. It was a great presentation. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was coming from an event. And there were a lot of TA presidents there from our NYCHA housing. And I'm going to put my information in the chat. I'm glad you're going to youth and education. And we can have an offline conversation and ways we can further promote getting our youth activated and learning new skills. So thank you very much for the presentation. I'll drop my information. Thank you, Marissa, and everyone here at EcoDev. Love the work you're doing. Let's keep it up.
Thank you, Xavier. Thank you so much. And I'm going to move to Jenny Chomsky.
Sorry. Hi, so great to meet you, Alexis. And yeah, just really impressive program, presentation, love the deck. I'm the person who's going to be tracking. I was taking copious notes on my tracking sheet, kind of the asks that people are making and then following up afterwards. It struck me while you were speaking that it would be helpful to have kind of like a one-pager or something like that that we can send when we're making these introductions to developers, just as a kind of an extra, just as an extra bump there, an extra, flourish to how you're presenting yourself. I'm guessing you do have something like that, since this is such a thoughtful deck, and the way that you put materials together is really great. So I was just wondering if you had something like that, and if so, would love to connect with you about getting that as we think about the developers we'd love to introduce you to.
Thank you, Jenny. We do have one. We have a couple.
I figured, yeah. Great. So Marissa, are you going to send emails to the board members? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
We'll circle back on like the administrative part after the meeting, and we'll circle with you. But thank you so much for your work too. Thank you. And so James. James, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, story of my life. Fantastic presentation, Alexis. Just really love the work that you're doing. Thank you for bringing it to the board tonight. I work at the Museum of the City of New York, and I wonder if we can be of service to help you connect to schools, specifically in East Harlem. We work with a ton of schools all over the city, but we can tap into schools in East Harlem. And I also wonder, and being the Museum of the City of New York, if there's a history component to implement in your program. We're happy to lean in and provide some support there around the history of architecture in New York City, and just be able to add another layer to the work that you're doing. I'm going to put my information in the chat. Would love to follow up with you offline. And we also may have some funding for you to be able to support what you have coming down the pike. Phenomenal work. Hats off. Just want to support you any way we can.
Thank you, James. Nice meeting you.
Absolutely. This is what part of the meeting is supposed to be about, and connecting and networking and see how we can work together. So thank you for that offering, James, and hoping that you guys continue the conversation even after this meeting. I'm going to call Pablo and then Giselle. And Xavier, you still have your hand up, so I'm not sure if you have another question. If not, if you could lower it, that would be great.
Well, quick question. I don't know. I'm very bad at these things. I was trying to see if Alexis put down a telephone number to contact her. It's in the chat, it's somewhere. I would love to call her to follow up on this.
Okay, I will.
Perfect. Yes, before you get off, Alexis, if you could just drop your email and phone number, that would be great, or Eva on your behalf, that would be awesome. Giselle?
Yes, thank you. I also want to extend my congratulations, Alexis. Seems like a wonderful program. Thank you, Eva. My only question is, I'm not sure if I caught this during the presentation, but the students have to be enrolled into school, correct? Like this does not include, like, let's say, for example, kids who are still registered, but like in the process of dropping out or, et cetera.
Giselle?
Yes.
Okay, so this is our first cohort. Don't fall off the table, but I was really targeting the lower performing schools that had like really low graduation rates initially. And then we realized, Giselle, that the content we were introducing them to, you needed to have some math, some science, some, just not, you don't have to be an A student, but it was really difficult. And a lot of the CTE schools were sort of jumping in. We did our homework. We worked with Columbia, like we were really trying to figure this out because I was like gung ho. And we realized that the kids really needed to have higher grades to be able to understand what we were teaching them, because this is really back office. So right now, the class that we stopped taking in students so now we're taking students for the next cohort, which would start in September. So right now we're accepting students and we're just asking for their transcripts just to give us an idea of where they are, but we're not saying no, but so we've been doing it on a case-by-case basis. We didn't know if we were really prepared. I hope we get enough staff and funding to be prepared to handle students that were not finishing their regular coursework, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much again, and congratulations. Thank you.
We also can refer students to use
Oh, yeah.
Youth Build.
We do that.
So they've
Yep.
been actually a really great partner in helping us. Sometimes if we have question about how to run the nonprofit for this type of program, they've been helping us. So
Perfect.
we've
Thank
developed
you.
a good partnership.
Thank you both. And then one last question, as we do need to move on. And please help me with the name Osamundi.
Yes, it's actually Osamedi Gadiba, but you just call me Eddie for the Zoom purposes.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to congratulate Alexis on the beautiful work she's doing out in Harlem. I'm actually the president of a brokerage actually in Manhattan, 100% Black owned. And I've never been on a community board 11 meeting, but I wanted to just introduce myself and see what you guys were doing as a collective. I would love to connect with Alexis and yourself, Marissa, at some point. If I can get you guys contact information, that would be great.
And Eddie, absolutely. What you can do too, if you would like, to drop your email in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yep.
Definitely, I will do that. Just a little background on me, just so you guys don't feel like you talk to a stranger. I'm originally from Queens. I moved to Manhattan for about 2 years now, so I'm living in Manhattan, and yeah, just been doing a lot of real estate work in terms of rental sales and a couple of fix and flips in like other markets like Brooklyn and Queens. Just trying to get my feet wet and just get it acclimated to the community up in East Harlem and West Harlem. So thank you guys for having me, and hopefully we could connect in the future.
Yes, let's continue the conversation. Thank you for joining us, and happy you were able to attend this evening.
Thank you.
And if it's not there already, Alexis and Eva's information's in there. I will also drop my information in the chat for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think what we are going to do, Alexis, just because of the length of this meeting, I wasn't prepared for us to vote this meeting. We will take a vote just on a letter, but I'm sure that will be favorable. But let's do that for our next meeting. But in the meantime, there's a lot for you to do in terms of connecting, which is good. And happy that that's going to take place even after this meeting. And let's continue our conversation as well. But it seems like you have some further leads in terms of growing and developing and getting the word out, which is a part of what we're here for. So again, thank you for coming and for presenting, and looking forward to continuing the conversation with you. Angel, if we could move on. Thank you, Eva. If we could move forward with the agenda.
Sure. The next thing is the MTA update on the Viaduct project. I'm not sure if Mark has a presentation. If not, then I'll put our slide deck back up.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Marissa? Good evening.
I'm good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your patience. We wanted to just bring you back in regards to everything that's going on in the community, both from the Viaduct side and also from the 2nd Avenue subway side, and just see where everything is. Do you have a presentation, or will you just be speaking with us this evening?
No, we do have a presentation, which we'll show and put up in a second. Before I do that, I just want to say I really enjoyed Alexis's presentation, and I think she even mentioned the MTA Small Business Program, because Mike Gardner, who is Chief Diversity Officer for the MTA, I mean we do a ton of work with in terms of MWBs. I think we're actually MTA is the leader in the state as far as state agencies. There's 100 state agencies, and we're actually number one in the state in terms of opportunities for MWBE. So I think you had mentioned that, Alexis, and that's great that we already had that partnership. So really enjoyed your presentation, and we have a little bit to talk about tonight. It's a great opportunity to give an update. Even we've even started a STEM program with our project. First, I'm going to just introduce myself. My name is Mark Mannix. I'm Senior Director for Metro North. I'm also joined by Marcus Book, who's with New York City Transit. So there's Marcus. He oversees government affairs for New York City Transit. And then Joe O'Donnell, who handles MTA construction and development, public affairs. So, and as you mentioned, Marissa, Joe is working on 2nd Avenue subway. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike Sheehan just to introduce himself and his team. Mike is the project executive for the Park Avenue Viaduct project.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you for everybody for the opportunity this evening now. Real quick, we have our consultant WSP on board, who is handling the engineering as well as the outreach along with the MTA team. So I'm going to turn it over to Ray and then to Molly to introduce some of the key public outreach people.
Hey, good evening, and thank you very much for having us here today. Really appreciate it. My name is Ray Moran. I'm the Program Management Director for the PMC services, assisting MTA in developing the Park Avenue Viaduct project and delivering it over the next few years. So we have part of our scope is a very key component of community outreach and assistance to Joe and Mark and Mike on this project. So that'll be headed up by Molly Hollister, our Chief Outreach Officer, and members of her team are here today. So I'll give her the opportunity to introduce some more of the team that will be working on this project in the neighborhood. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, everyone. Good evening. Molly Hollister, and I'm the outreach manager. Our team is, and I don't know if they have a capability to turn their cameras on, but we're joined by Darren Cheatham and Rebecca Fleischer. And I'm trying to see if we have Amanda on the call. Maybe Amanda might be the phone number. So they're joining today. You'll see a lot of us. Hopefully we'll be in the community a lot, as the project moves forward, and you'll hear a little bit more about that from Mike and Mark tonight. So we'll get into it.
Great, thank you all. So Mike, if you could put up the presentation. As we mentioned, we were back with the Public Safety and Transportation Committee back in June of last year. I don't know, Marissa, and others participated in that meeting. We also have a stakeholder advisory committee, and Angel participates on that, and Carrie King. It was great to see her and give her presentation about Uptown Grand Central, and Eva, who's joined us as well. I met Eva on the site visit walk that we did back in October, and she's been a great participant since then. So if you go to the next slide, we're going to just give you an overview of, I'll talk about the project background. We already did the introductions, go through the project schedule, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going as far as planning ahead. The outreach that's critical to any project. So what we've been doing since we last spoke to everybody with the community board back in June, and now with this committee, and then open it up to questions and discussion. So first, just quick background. The Park Avenue Viaduct is probably all you really know. It's an old structure. It's 129 years old now. And it's, the one way that all trains, 98% of Metro North trains, go into and out of Grand Central Terminal. But that red square there is key, though, for the Harlem community, because that's Harlem 125th Street. And that is a critical station for Metro North. It's critical to the Harlem community, and it's critical to the whole region in terms of the economy, as well as the viaduct itself. As I said, it serves all our train service pretty much, especially into and out of Grand Central Terminal and at the station. And you're looking at the numbers here, before COVID, that's 750 trains every day traveling on the viaduct, and over almost a quarter million customers. And it's a 1.25 mile long structure, has 4 tracks on it, so it's 5 track miles. So, and as I mentioned, it's the main artery into and out of Grand Central, and as I talked about at Harlem 125th Street Station. So if we go to the next slide, looking at the station itself, it's our 3rd busiest station in the Metro North system. And it's the only station outside of Grand Central that serves all 3 lines, from the Hudson line all the way up to Poughkeepsie, to the Harlem line all the way up to Wassaic and White Plains, and the New Haven line all the way up to places like Points East, Bridgeport, Stamford, and New Haven. And I think before COVID, we had 38,000 riders, traveling out of Harlem 125th Street every week. So it's an important station. That's why over the past few years, we've invested $24 million in improvements to that station. Some of those improvements have been the lighting around the station. And when I talk about the station, I'm talking about right around the station building, which is historic on 125th Street. And if you look at that picture there on the left, that's Arts for Transit. That's an arts project that, right on the viaduct. It was a component put in back, I think 20 years ago. And, it's a great, piece to some of our projects. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We did other improvements around the station as far as real-time information, improving the lobby area at the station, replacing the staircases to the south of the station across the street at 124th Street. And this past summer, painting the viaduct in areas that needed that attention. So we go to the next slide, talk a little bit about what is the viaduct replacement project. It's replacing major segments between, as it says here, 115th Street and 132nd Street. And this is a project, like I said, it's 129 years old. The station, the viaduct, is the project is a state of good repair project. Want to bring it up to a state of good repair. And we're not changing the footprint of the viaduct, but it's kind of reached its useful life in that section that we need to replace between 115th and 132nd. So if you go to the next slide, and this talks about the need for the project. As I mentioned, it's not in a state of good repair. The current usage is well above the original design. back when it was built. And the viaduct, and this is really important. And I, as I talk about all the trains going in and out of Grand Central, without the viaduct, we can't run trains into the city. We can't run trains into Harlem, 125th Street. So it's the single point of failure, not having the viaduct. And if you remember, back in 2016, there was a fire below the viaduct, and that shut down the viaduct, and it shut down service in and out of Manhattan for several days. And so we can't serve Manhattan, we can't serve the Bronx, we can't serve the suburbs to the north, and we can't serve Connecticut. So it's a critical project. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that needs to be replaced. And that's why we're focused on that project now. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike to talk about the project and the repairs and the plan to replace it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. So I think Mark emphasized the need, the importance to the city, to the region, to the whole economy. Viaduct is old. It was built in the 1890s. From the structural engineering standpoint, there's a lot of signs of distress that we've been seeing. We've been tracking it throughout the last couple of years, and as expected, the signs are increasing. 1893's railroads were different than they are right now. So the original design, people in the 1800s didn't know what was going to happen in the 2000s. So the trains are different. And as Mark said, it's a state of good repair project. And most importantly, as an engineer, as a public authority, public puts our trust within us to manage the infrastructure, to keep it safe, not just for the trains, but for the communities that we serve, for the people below and near the viaduct itself. So this is also a safety component to the project as well. So where are we focusing? As Mark mentioned, the project is 115th Street to 132nd Street. The first phase of the project, we're focusing on 115th Street to 123rd Street along Park Avenue. Just real quick, the MTA has been taking very proactive short-term safety measures. In light of some of the information we've seen, we've increased our inspection intervals significantly to make sure that there are any immediate problems, we get ahead of it. We're doing a lot of testing to the structure. We have our maintenance of way staff for Metro North that responds at a moment's notice when necessary to fix it if there is anything immediate. We also are just wrapping up an interim repair retrofit project. This project we started last June. It was supposed to end in May of this year, but due to various ways we've been able to accelerate it, we took substantial completion last month. And when the weather gets a little bit warmer, they're going to finish the painting of the project. So it should be very minimal impact to finish as well. As I said, that's going to come in about 4 months early for that project. The larger project, though, the larger replacement project, looking at the timeline here, we're looking to release the construction documents for RFP or for bid later this summer, award the construction in about a year from now. And the major construction activities would be starting in the second half of next year, in the second half of 2023. So, what are some benefits? As first and foremost, safety to the public, safety to the railroad, not just the people who ride the trains, but everybody near the trains as well. Mark talked about the economic benefits that the railroad has to the city, to the state, to the region. The train service to GCT, train service to Harlem 125th Street Station, the Bronx, and everywhere north. We're going to touch on some feedback we've gotten to date about this project, but we are looking into how we can reduce noise and vibration levels. I know that is a very big concern for the community, and we are looking at ways that we can do that. There will be an arts and design component to the project. We'll touch on it a little bit later. Tens of millions of dollars for DBE contractors. That's the federal term for MBE, WBE contracts. We've been working with our partners in the city for trying to integrate any improvements that they may need to make within our project. there should be a very large increase in construction-induced spending, hopefully job creation within the region. As Mark mentioned, we've actually started a STEM program, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, with the local schools, which Molly will touch on in a few minutes here. The MTA always looks for sustainable materials. We will be incorporating them where it's feasible within the project, and also it's mass transit, the railroad. It's going to help to reduce greenhouse gases and emissions for the region. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Molly from WSP to talk about some public outreach items.
All right, thanks, Mike. So as you've heard a little bit, and maybe a lot of you have joined some of these meetings, we've been, diving in and engaging with the community for, about a year now, and really having some outdoor public workshops and presentations. So I think we've met, well, there's a schedule here, but we've met with your group before, but I don't know if this committee, so hopefully you have some new people, so you're learning some of this stuff for the new, first time. But we're engaging with the elected officials, city and state agencies, and we do have a stakeholder group that meets quarterly. So we'll be doing that again very soon. So yeah, here's the schedule of what we've done and what we're moving toward for the spring of this year. We've met with CB11 a couple times now. Friends of La Marqueta, and you see the stakeholder meetings and the elected. So we'll come into the spring with just kind of more of that, and hopefully, as we get out together again, we can all be, meeting in person. I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully that happens this spring. And then again, I think Angel and a few folks here have definitely joined some of these meetings. We did a outdoor stakeholder meeting and a walkthrough, a site tour. So we're looking forward to doing more of those. And we're really happy to show the community what we're doing in the space, and getting your ideas and your feedback on what you want to see there. And again, like, here are some of the things we've heard, and we'll just keep that conversation going. The lighter color of the viaduct, the open columns for some of the the structural issues, improvements to La Pasita, and on, so on and so on. So we're tracking these, and they're top of mind for us, and we'll continue to work with you and others. So yeah, level of noise, I know Mike mentioned that during construction. So that's a big concern for, we all live in New York City, so it's an issue. So we want to be very aware of that and very sensitive to that. And I really, as everyone said, Alexis, that your organization is amazing, and we have to work with you. I hope we can all make that connection happen. But we talked a lot about, encourage local hiring, and we're doing like STEM, just trying to reach, the kids in the community, but also just everyone in the community. So there was a very successful job fair in conjunction with Second Avenue Subway in the last few years, and we'd like to kind of think about that and revisit something like that. So all these things we'll just try to give back as much as we can and be a part of the community. It's very important. And again, we are working with on the ADA and continued public involvement. So. And then you all probably are very familiar with this art piece. It's beautiful, and we have a call to artists will be coming this summer. So I know we're working with the MTA Arts and Design now to put together that program. So we'll get back to you again, like probably a little later, late spring, and have a call to artists in the summer months. And the STEM is a big one, and we did have an event in November, and it was really successful. We have a little video we can show you, and but we want to. I was hoping to ask for Angel and Marissa and the community board's help with getting the word out. We do have a one sheet, so I'll send that to the office, and hopefully you can distribute that to try to. We have the list of all there's so many schools in the neighborhood, so we've done a lot of outreach, but I know it's kind of a crazy time for the schools, so we were hoping to have more scheduled for the spring, and that is we have WSP, the firm I work with, has a DPN group, a developing young professionals. So there are 20-something engineers that can come into the schools and show the kids how to build a bridge and just the physics of certain things and science projects. So we love to do that, and we are continuing that outreach. Next week, I'll do kind of some in earnest, just in person, but hopefully with your help, we can just really grow. And again, working with Alexis, I think that would be, it's kind of this good synergy there to be working with you. And I don't know, can you play that video? Is that,
Yes, I can.
okay. Sometimes it doesn't always work. I think Teams is more glitchy, but maybe we don't have the sound. No.
If you select, oh,
Mike knows his way around. It looks like
something in video settings. Yeah.
We'll have
I
to
don't
go
know.
out the sound here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
But
that's
it's
fine.
it's also fine.
It's still pretty cool, right?
Right. Yes. Sir.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was very successful.
If anyone has a good narrator voice, they can jump in now and try to wing it.
Oh, that's great. Oh.
So
It's just
yeah,
some
that mosaic
background
prep.
music. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Building bridges, that's what we were doing in the school that day. It
Yeah.
was great. It was really a great experience. I would spend every afternoon if I could
I
in the
know,
schools
right?
doing this. So yeah, I think the teachers and the students really appreciated it, and it's just the beginning of our participation with the schools on this program.
Yep. So again, like I'll send some information your way tomorrow or first thing next week once we have kind of a tighten up, and hopefully we can work together. And anyone else on the call, if you're have ideas or interested, we'd love to keep that going and build that out. So thanks.
So that's our presentation. That's our update. You can see a little, for those that have, participated back in June, a lot's been going on since then, and a lot more to come. But the key is, we're continuing, with the outreach. We started early. We're going to continue with it often. And, as we get into construction, like Mike said, we're looking at, with the schedule right now, we anticipate start of construction towards the third quarter of 2023. So there's a lot still to do between now and then. And we're, focused on that. But, we'd like to hear any questions, comments, concerns that you may have tonight.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for presenting. I'm very happy to hear that there are a few more offerings that I'm hearing about, a few more partnerships that are happening than our first meeting. So that is really good progress, namely, looking at who we are connecting with in terms of construction. Again, the artist, the call for artists, and we hope that we will have artists from this community. Again, going back to something that actually Alexis stated, when you're walking through your community and knowing that that's someone or somebody that is within this neighborhood that has actually done the work, I think that's extremely impactful. So looking at how that is built out. And then also going towards jobs. So of course, the STEM program, I think that that's wonderful, and we would want to connect you as well to our youth in education. I actually know Lizette very well at Mosaic Academy, and so happy that you guys were able to work through her school, and that's amazing. So we want that, and again, we want the other offerings that are different ways for you guys to make an impact within the community. So very happy to see that there's been some growth there since the last meeting, and want to strongly applaud and recognize that and the notes that have been I guess kind of formulating behind the scenes on the growth in regards to this project. So would want to hear more about that. And then also if you could share a little bit about when the next, I guess, thought tank meeting and or this community meeting would be in regards to the Viaduct and or the 2nd Avenue subway, that would be great. I believe my information is in there. but you can drop any information that you may want to share within the chat for others as well. So I do have a few questions for you because I know that we focused a lot on the viaduct, but also wanted to have some time for questions regarding Second Avenue. But I have a few questions, so please bear with me. But regards to the viaduct, what do we see happening with some of the businesses that are underneath there in terms of movement and thoughts in regards to where they will be as some of the construction takes place?
I can start that, and then Mike jump in if there's anything you want to add. I would say generally right now, I mean, we're in, I would say, the planning process for that. The key is we want to ensure a smooth transition, on any of the relocation of the tenants and the businesses below the viaduct. So we're working collaboratively with the city. We want to ensure that that happens as we move forward, as we get towards, as I said, construction towards the end of next year. So that's that's still in process, and it's progressing with the city. That's something that we are very mindful of. We want to make sure, that it's a success, and that, it's I would say, hopefully as seamless a transition as possible on the relocation of the tenants and the businesses below the viaduct as we're replacing it and preparing for that. So that's something we can provide more of an update as we, get further into it this year. And we have more of an update with the city and those stakeholders, but that's something that we're, focused on. It's a real priority with the project. And, we want to make it a success, as well as, the actual work itself in replacing the viaduct. So that's kind of where things are right now at this point. I don't know if there's anything, Mike, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just note that, we've been in extensive conversations with New York City for, feels like forever with this. We are required by federal law to do stuff for the tenants that are below that. We can't just come in, kick them out the next day. That can't happen. It's not allowed to happen, and it will never happen. We did hire a relocation consultant last year to get ahead of this process and to help us and help the city understand how the process has to work, using the federal guidelines, the federal laws to help guide the process. But as Mark said, we're still in discussions with the city on how it's all going to look.
Okay, and I mean, good to hear that this is not just going to take place, obviously like right away, and people will be asked to move the next day. We also want to keep in mind the type of businesses that we have underneath there and complexity of some of them in terms of, what's going on. So just want to make sure that there's time and also offer, I'm not sure if this is on your radar, something that you guys would be willing to do, but maybe a roundtable discussion with some of those businesses to see, what their needs are and or, what would be the best way to kind of move forward with that, just offering that as an option. My second question is actually on to the Second Avenue, which we didn't speak about too much, and in regards to the businesses there and what conversations have been had in regards to, them moving or not necessarily moving, but protections for them as this take place, as the construction takes place, and what that looks like. So, again, not sure if that answer is the same, but I know that having scaffolding and any movement to their businesses that also may hurt their structures, ensuring that they're protected. What conversations have been had to ensure that they are okay?
Hey, Chair Mac, this is Joe O'Donnell. I know we came to you all not too long ago, but we are so far away from construction at this point from the Second Avenue subway standpoint. We have not engaged in active conversations with the actual retailers or the residents, where work is going to go on. Frankly, at this point, because it's a design build contract, until there's a project, until there's a contract awarded and we get a phasing plan and and an MPT plan, a management of and protection of traffic plan, where we know the work zones are going to be. Obviously, as we spoke to you about when we came to you last time about some of the early acquisitions of property, we do know some of the properties that we need and are integral to the actual advancement of the project. So we want to do those early acquisitions in order to ensure that vacant lots and things of that nature aren't developed, and then we're either adversely impacting the project or adversely impacting the community by potentially taking away something that's brand new and then that is a benefit to the community. So no, we haven't actually engaged. We are speaking with a lot of the residents and building owners along the 2nd Avenue corridor proper, because that's where work would begin first, with early utility work and things of that nature. So we're doing some conversations around building investigations and things of that nature, but we're too far away yet from actual substantive conversations with the retail and the commercial entities, especially along 125th Street. We do obviously have best practices, lessons learned from phase 1 about how we can make sure that we maintain traffic to those businesses, how we promote those businesses so that people know they're open and viable during construction. And we will set up a retail construction advisory committee when we get closer to actively work with those businesses so that they know what's coming before it's coming. And then we know what the impacts, maybe there's things we're not considering as impacts to those businesses. So we'll set that up well in advance of construction.
Okay, perfect. Yes, and please just, keep us posted. We are, hoping to just get more information in regards to how that is going and not wait too long, and also learn from lessons from our neighbors.
Absolutely. You, Angel, Eva are going to see way too much of me over the long haul here with Park Avenue Viaduct, 2nd Avenue Subway, bridges and tunnels. Underneath the new sort of transformation that the MTA is in, C&D is involved now with all of these projects. So unfortunately, you're stuck with me.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be best BFF. So I just have 2 more questions, and I'm going to turn it over to the 2 other hands that I see. The other one is in regards to jobs. I'm happy to hear that there is a discussion of a possible job fair, which I did not hear specifically at our first meeting. I'm not sure if that was just something that I missed or not, but something that is specific to this area. And is there some sort of a timeline and or a future date that you are looking at in regards to that?
So I don't know, Mark or Molly, if you want me to take that one, but obviously, and I think I spoke to you all about it when we were here as part of 2nd Avenue Subway, is, we had that very, very productive job information event. I hesitate to call it a job fair because at that point, what we were doing was we were looking to connect interested parties from the community with opportunities to middle income jobs vis-a-vis the Building and Construction Trades Council and the various unions, early entry programs and apprenticeship programs that they have, as well as the MTA, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad's Human Resources Department, so that there were civil service jobs and how to apply and get your foot in the door with those sort of things. So that worked out really well. Just prior to COVID, we had executed that event up in East Harlem. So we are in discussion with the Building and Construction Trades Council, and obviously with the confluence of the Park Avenue Viaduct project and 2nd Avenue and everything else going on over here, we're all putting our heads together on how we can execute similar events like this in the future. Right now, we're targeting the spring. When we did that last one, we had over 400 people queued up in January, which was not an ideal time because the temperatures were like single digits. So we're looking to the spring to try to do something like that, up in the East Harlem area again, because it's a little bit more hospitable for folks who want to come out and get that very valuable information.
Perfect. So we would definitely want to work with you on that and ensure that we have, like a good turnout. So again, we will stay in touch with you all as this project moves forward. And then there's one last question in regards to lighting and safety under the viaduct. How is that being addressed and looked at? That's been an issue for a number of years. I know we've just had, just certain incidents that have happened, and people that are right along Park Avenue have complained about some of the lighting there. So is that something that hopefully MCA will also be looking at and addressing as they move forward with the project?
I'll take this.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, it was on the list of, what we've heard as far as input to date. That's something that comes up in every meeting that we have. And that's something that we're working with New York City DOT on, because, the lighting under the viaduct is actually part of the streetscape. So that's something that, we're working in partnership with DOT as far as, how we can, when we go in and replace the viaduct, obviously you don't want to just replace what's there now and just leave it the way it is. We want to enhance it. And that's what we're working with DOT on, to get to make sure that we have that improvement, because that's something that's very clearly on the minds of people in the community that they want to see. So that's something that is evolving in our discussions with DOT, and we're hopeful that that's going to be a real benefit when people see as far as this project when we go to replace the viaduct. So Mike, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to that.
I think that's pretty good. I was going to say, I always remind the DOT that we hear that all the time from the community, the lighting, and they want it improved. So,
especially with everything that's going on now, and I know everyone's hearing about it, like in the news. There's we need to make sure that everything that we can do is helpful to the community on some end. So, thank you guys for considering that. Thank you, Eva and Giselle, for your patience. Giselle.
Thank you so much, guys, for presenting. I just wanted to reiterate a lot of the points that our chair made already. She did a great job in covering a lot of the concerns that we've been hearing from our local businesses. They would really like to start at least having conversations and being a part of the conversation. So I think that because you guys are in the planning stages, now would be a great time to start thinking about how to include them, just for future ideas. I'm glad to hear about the job fair. Hopefully the residents in our district can benefit from this and, it can actually result in some income for them. It would be great for, the labor force in our community. And, the last point that Marissa also made about the lighting, throughout the construction, please keep in mind, we want to keep our streets safe, and we definitely don't want this to open up any channels for, possible crime. And so the lighting needs to just be as best as possible. And the street guards, the crossing guards for our pedestrians coming out of school, the cars maneuvering around the area, just keep it as safe as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Giselle. Eva?
Yeah, so I also, first of all, I want to thank the team for your extensive outreach. It's great. And I want to also iterate the need for better lighting. It needs to be really, really bright. It is really a major safety concern for the neighbors. I happen to live near the viaduct myself. The other new development that we started to see over the last few months is that I want to bring to your attention is the need to take care of the construction vehicles at night, because we start to see drug user starting, or homeless people basically using your vehicle as a construction vehicle as an anchor to do whatever activities it is. So in your planning, I really urge you to find a place that you can at night park all your vehicles back into one place, and ideally, under the bridge in a way that is locked up.
So is this, Mike, is this the current contractor out there that's doing the bracket work that Eva's referring to?
Some of it is the current.
Okay, Eva, I think you're paused.
Yeah, she's frozen, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was me or her. I guess we
So
can.
I just respond real quick that Mark, that isn't our current contractor, but we should circle back with any other the Metro North contractors and the maintenance of waste staff in the area. Just remind them to secure their vehicles appropriately.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
glad she,
so,
I did not know that that was an issue, so.
yeah, I didn't know that either. So it's good to know that. And if Eva, if she comes back on, or, after the meeting, we can get a little more information on that, where that's happening. That would be helpful.
Okay, and I will let her know. I'm sure she will drop back on. But thank you, Eva, for sharing that. Did not know that that was a concern. Are there any other questions before we move on with the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I am very happy with this presentation. I'm very thankful that you guys have made progress in just connecting. Eva, you froze.
Yeah, I did, but
did you-
I finished. I mainly just want to ask about those vehicles and its parking plan.
Eva, could you be more specific, like maybe offline even, as far as where that's occurring? And you're talking about construction vehicles, are these actual Metro North vehicles, or are these third-party contractors for Metro North?
Oh, that I
No.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
That I wouldn't
Okay.
know, but it's on around 116 to 120th area.
Okay.
There,
maybe you
those,
can get
crane looking structure.
Maybe you can get pictures of the vehicles that you're thinking about and send them, and they can let you know if that's their vehicles or what. That might be
Sure.
helpful.
Yeah, I think our concern is more that, when you're really doing renovation, there'll be even more vehicles. And hopefully there is a plan and a place to put them where they should be consistently.
Understood.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of MCA. Also, just briefly wanted to plug Carrie King and Uptown Grand Central and Union Settlement. As you guys start to think about artists, they have a collection of people that you can connect with.
Absolutely.
In regards to that. So please speak with them as well and continue the partnership. But we will look to speak with you going forward. Thank you all for coming and presenting on what's going on in our community. We are looking forward to artists and jobs and further safety for our commuters above and for our residents below. Thank you.
Happy to be here
Thank you.
tonight. Thank you all, and we look forward to coming back when, in the future. So, and working with you on, like we said, the arts for and design project and STEM and others. So
Great.
thank you all.
I'll be in touch,
Thank you very
Marissa.
much.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, Angel, if we can move along with our agenda, please. Okay, so I know that we have spoken about a letter last month. We talked about writing a letter to our elected officials just in regards to the quality of life concerns as it's related to businesses, to development, to living within this community. And so actually wanted to put it to a vote this month. As last month we said, yes, it will be a part of our goals, but now to actually move forward with that. I also wanted to bring up possible 2 new letters and to get your thoughts on this. One of the letters is in regards to, and this is something that I had thought about, but then also I believe we discussed previously. I believe Giselle mentioned something of this nature last month when she spoke about Go Green. But I think specifically more around ensuring that the fines are different depending on where individuals live. So similar to parking within the city, metered parking is different downtown. It's different uptown. The prices vary, and not sure if that's just a zoning issue or what. But I do think that as businesses are looking to dig out and looking to ensure that they are making a profit, we need to look at how we are giving out fines. I know that there's an initiative Angel spoke about last month as well. Eric Adams is looking at this, but I think that there should be something that's hard in play that kind of caps the fee or the fine for businesses that are in LMI communities. And I think that this is something that we might be able to push and to back and to let the city recognize that every business is not the same and every fine is not the same. And if we are trying to support small businesses, that this might be something that we would want to support. So and happy to hear feedback from others on the committee if they feel like this is something that we could do. And the second thing is actually something that Giselle has been speaking about for a number of months is our marketing. And National Black Theater last month actually mentioned it in their presentation in regards to us possibly helping them with better ways to market along 125th Street. And so Eva had been speaking about marketing. Nye had also been speaking about marketing. And so I think if we, do something or work on some initiative around that, that would be helpful as well for our businesses, again, as we start to dig out. So I would love to hear feedback from the committee on these letters. And then also wanted to know, who would like to, if anyone wants to have input on these. The quality of life letter has been started. The two others were, ideas that came out of last meeting. And then obviously with the marketing, that's something that's been a theme for a few of our meetings, but wanted to get your feedback and thoughts on these letters that would help our community in a number of different ways. So does anyone have, do you think it's helpful? Should we do this? Is it something that you feel businesses will benefit from?
You mean to write the letter?
Yes, on these specific topics. So
yeah, certainly.
Development we spoke about last month. We really don't need to speak about it. I think we're just going to vote on that, right? So we don't want to keep going around with it. But the two others in regards to marketing, and then also to put, to look at fines in a different way for businesses, right? So if a business is in the LMI community, they shouldn't be fined the same as, a roof crest downtown. And so just looking at that and actually putting a cap on that specifically.
I agree. I believe we should.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so what are the first things we need to do for that to help this, Marissa?
Right. So I guess for let's start with the letter on the quality of life concerns related to economic development. I'll put that on the table first. So if someone would like to make a motion that we move forward with this letter, that would be helpful.
I would like to make a motion to move forward with the quality of life concerns issue related to economic development.
And I second.
Okay, Angel, can you do a roll call, please? Angel, are you still with us?
I'm always here. My Zoom's not cooperating.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was trying to get unmuted. So it was Giselle and Eva. Okay. Adem Briha?
Yes.
Eva Chan?
Yes.
James Horton?
Yes.
Marissa Mack?
Yes.
Giselle Malave?
Yes.
Jennifer Meyer?
Yes.
Robert Perez? Perez is not here. Jenny Tromsky?
Yes.
Nye Whitaker's not here. The motion carries.
Thank you, Angel. And then, so now the second letter would be to cap fine for businesses in low to moderate income communities. And so that would be a letter supporting that. Jenny, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to complicate everything, but you know, when I think of businesses that are here, you know, I'm thinking Dunkin' Donuts. I'm thinking, you know, like big chains, like places that can, so I want to maybe build in something that says, I don't know, it fits the definition of a small business in New York City, which is less than 100 employees overall, something like that. So I don't, you know, I don't want to let the corporations off the hook that happen to be located in an LMI, you know?
Okay. And so on that note, while we have your engagement, how might you state that? How might you state that in motion?
So I move to, do we have to move to do the letter first and then I move for specific?
Well, and my understanding, Angel, please correct me, is that you can just make a motion to write a letter in support of capping fines for businesses defined as small businesses within LMI communities, something of that nature. Sorry, I just rambled off. But Angel, please let me know if I'm incorrect.
Yes, you can make a motion to write a letter, but in order for the board to ratify it, you should have the letter circulated before the full board.
Okay. That's fine.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
Okay, I move to write a letter of support. I move for a letter of support to cap the fines levied on businesses in our LMI, LMIs generally, our LMI, for businesses who have less than 100 employees and otherwise fit the definition of the SBS small business thresholds.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes, there's a second. I'll second that.
Okay, and Angel, can you do the roll call?
Adem,
Yes.
Eva,
Yes.
James,
Yep.
Marissa,
Yes.
Giselle,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Robert, Jenny,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Angel. And then Giselle, in terms of the marketing, what do you think that would look like? Or do you think we should have a conversation with also National Black Theater? They had mentioned that there are some challenges that they know of specifically along 125th Street for marketing, and also Carrie, if you know about this as well. But I know asked a question about having signage on the side of their building. And they said that there are, some things that they would need to work out because marketing along the corridor is not that easy. But then also they were looking for our support in that effort. And so maybe we have a conversation with them about what that looks like. And also Carrie too, if there's any information about marketing, along the corridor, how that takes place, or how that could help businesses. Maybe that's a continuing conversation that we have, Giselle, or what do you think about marketing?
I think
overall for the community?
I think that's a great idea. I think that we can have a separate conversation as to like how to really structure it so that we're not like kind of doing the same work as all this other marketing, because it's true, there are a lot of marketing initiatives going on now, continuing through the year, so that just like a more like effective approach, I think we can have a separate conversation, definitely. I agree with you.
Okay, okay, all right, great. Eva?
Yeah, one thing I thought about is maybe also soliciting MTA's help, because as they relocate local businesses and, you know, featuring them some way, maybe it's a good compensation.
No, that's
Also,
great.
you know, when they're relocating the businesses, helping to build out some structure that is, you know, having better signs and whatnot.
That's a great idea. And maybe there's a way where they carve out signing that's specific to businesses within that, in this community, without having, you know, to pay a fee or what have you, you know, and that's a way for them also to give back. So that's a great idea.
Or on social media, say, you know, today I'm relocating Urban Garden Center.
Right, exactly.
You know,
Yep.
here's the new address.
That's great to help the businesses that they're moving, right? Yep. Carrie?
I was just gonna say with phase one with Second Avenue Subway, they did pay for signage on top of all the scaffolding, like they'll be relocated outside of where the construction is. And so they did that all along Second Avenue. So I would expect that that happens again in future projects.
Perfect. That's good. Good to know. Thank you so much. Thank you both. Okay, great. Okay, so we are moving along with our agenda. Angel, next slide, please. Okay, anyone with a new business to share? Xavier?
Hi, everyone. Real quick, I have sent a text message and communication to Giselle and Marissa. I had a nice lengthy conversation with our state senator, Jose Serrano. He's very passionate about the arts and parks, as you know, and commerce. He said he'd be willing to come in March to present to the committee. Some of the things we talked about were activating our commerce and also too our theater district. It's not just we have 4 different theatrical spaces that can be activated and are in use but not actively used. So we talked about that. So I'd like this committee to please entertain when he comes to present, and he'll talk to you about his budget priorities as it relates to our district. So I just want to say thank you very much, and it was a very productive meeting, and everyone please stay safe out there. Okay.
Thank you, Xavier. We'll put you both on the agenda for next month. So thank you, and thank you for your work in regards to the theater and the arts in the community. Is there anyone else? Any new, other new business? Okay, moving forward. All right, so if there is nothing else, we are done. Thank you all for hanging in. Thank you all for engaging this evening. If there are any other ideas or thoughts, anything you would like to convey to myself, Angel, or Giselle, please let me know. And Angel, if you could do the roll call.
Sure thing. Adem?
Here.
Eva?
Here.
James?
Here.
Marissa?
Here.
Giselle?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here.
Robert? Jenny?
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Take care. Be safe. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you so
Good
much,
night.
guys.
Everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.